Hey guys, it's Megan
and Liz, and welcome back to Noted. This week is another more personal episode. We're going to be going into my fertility journey. I don't want to call it an infertility journey because people have said that since I've had losses, it's like not technically infertility, whatever.
You're trying to conceive, trying to have a baby.
Yeah, motherhood, whatever you want to call it.
Journey to motherhood.
Yeah. But we're going to start off first with some just catching up.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going on? What happened this week?
Mm-hmm. My toilet is broken. Well, I mean, I have 3 toilets, but the downstairs one is broken. And that, let me tell you, is annoying. But it's just like one thing after another with my house. My house
one thing after another.
Yeah,
after another.
My house is falling apart. Bathtub leak, ceiling leak, pool leak, toilet broken.
Well, you know, my house is also falling apart.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh
yeah. Our like primary bedroom shower, our like main shower, you know, like the nice one, is out of commission. It's
old pipe.
Yeah, old pipe. Got to replace the pipe, and like we got to dig up the shower. To do that, and we're putting it off because we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So we're just using our guest bathroom shower.
Yeah.
And it works fine. It's fine.
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. And then what else is wrong with my house? The mold.
Yes.
The mold is always there. You know?
The mold is like, I feel like it creeps up in your thoughts every time you'll be like sleeping. You'll be like, there's mold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. There is confirmed mold in my house. It's not airborne yet, but like it's one of those situations where it's like I have to get it fixed before we sell our house. Not that we're looking to sell our house, but we're gonna have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it's gonna bust up our kitchen, so then we have to do an unexpected kitchen remodel. That's not happening. I love my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I don't want a new kitchen.
No, I love your kitchen too.
And I don't want to pay $30,000 for a new kitchen. And
also being out of commission, not having a kitchen, like, yeah, a bathroom you can live without because you have another one, but like you don't have another kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, we would just move in to your house. We've already planned this.
Which that'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When the mold is being redone, dealt with. Yeah. No real timeline on that, so don't hold your breath, but...
let's see. I went to the zoo with Margot, and it was fantastic. It was so much fun.
I didn't get to go, but I saw the photos.
Her and her 2 little friends and my 2 little friends.
Yeah.
Went to the zoo. And it's so crazy. One of her friends is 4 months older than she is, and the difference between like 14 months and 18 months is so wild. Like I used to be one of those people that would not understand why people would say, oh, she's 18 months, or like, oh, she's 22 months. It's because 4 months is a very big difference in baby time.
Yeah.
And 1 and 2 are very different. So now I understand, and I feel bad that I ever said anything about that. But
yeah, we
had a really good time. We did.
What was her favorite animal?
She still really likes the flamingos.
Oh, yeah. They're so bright and pink. So cute.
And the gift shop. Love the gift shop.
Her favorite animal is the gift shop.
Yes, her favorite animal is the gift shop.
She walked out with a gift, didn't she?
She did.
Yes, she had to.
You know, there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to say no, but she's 14 months old, so.
It's not today.
She wants the tiger, she's going to get it. She can't be disciplined yet. She can, understand no, but like, she's the only child, so.
Yeah,
I'm going to spoil
her. What else? Oh, I had to miss Dancing with the Stars last night because this is like some real... If you know my love for Dancing with the Stars, you know that this is hard for me, but we've committed to it. Weston and I started a Shakespeare scene study acting class.
When I say I can't believe that you paid money to do this, because I would not do it if somebody paid me.
I was going to say, your silence is deafening.
No, but you know what? Your silence last night after the class was also deafening, so I don't think you had fun.
Oh, no. I actually, I will update you on that. So the first class was listen, like you walk in, it's a 2-hour class, and the first hour is like improv activities, so really fun, just getting to know the group, fun games, loosen up your body and just like have acting fun games. And that was awesome. I was like, this is so fun. I'm so glad.
It's like your acting class.
Yeah, I was like, this is so fun. I'm so glad I did this. And then the second hour, like we took a little bathroom break, and then like the second hour comes in, and we all sit down in this circle, and he hands out the scene from Julius Caesar, and we all read it out loud, taking turns reading it out loud, the lines or whatever. And I was like, wow, like this is really complicated and I don't understand any of it. But I was like, thank God, this is why I'm taking this class, because people they don't know.
Yeah.
And I imagine my surprise when the reading was concluded and everyone said, wow, the undertones that Brutus is conveying to Cassius is just so emotional, and the intense response of them being, on the battlefield, like the emotions are so heightened and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that we were on the battlefield. Like I almost raised my hand and asked, how did you know that we were on the battlefield? Because I didn't pick up on that. So I was literally sitting there dead silent, not a word out of me for the rest of the hour, and everyone else was just bop, 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 back and forth, bebopping around, like Shakespeare and the meaning and the emotion and blah, 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 and like what this means. And I was like, oh no, I've made a grave mistake by taking this class. But last night, Weston and I, so my husband and I did this together. So then my husband and we were like, no, you know what? We're going to get like a Shakespeare for Dummies book, pretty much like a modern day translation. We're going to give it another shot and we're going to go back. So we went back last night, and no, my silence was deafening last night, but only because I was catching the end of Dancing with the Stars. So I didn't,
okay.
my life.
So did the book help?
The book helped, but also we like sat down and were dissecting it like line by line of translating it basically. So thank God.
My knowledge of Caesar is from Mean Girls.
No, literally, Brutus is just as cute as Caesar.
Stop all over with his big feet.
I was already just stab Caesar.
That's literally all I know.
No, me too. Nope, me too. And I was like,
and I don't mean that in like a like ha 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 like oh yeah, that's all I know. But like no, that's like genuinely all I know. And we studied a little bit of Shakespeare in high school, but like not that much.
It was like a half a semester of
that.
that.
So not even. It was like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, but you know what? We signed up for the class because we wanted to like just relax and like have fun.
Togetherness.
Together, like do something together, meet some different people that we don't usually. The class is quite a diverse group. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it is people who I'm like, I don't know when our paths would have ever crossed, but in this here Shakespeare classroom.
But that's fun.
No, it is fun. That's what I'm saying. Like it's fun to like meet people who are doing completely different jobs, who have come from completely different like educational backgrounds and different walks of life, and it's fun.
It's fun in theory, and it's also I think more fun for an extrovert.
Yeah.
I would be like tired.
You definitely have to like be okay with looking silly.
Yeah.
And feeling silly and like and really opening up to complete strangers. Yeah, quickly. So I'm actually really liking it, and we're really enjoying it. But
you're really good at that exact skill set though, so
thank you. That's really nice.
It's true.
So is Weston.
Yes.
Yeah. So we really thrive in like that sort of community.
Now are not.
But the thing is like Weston and I were talking about it last night. I feel as if you were to break down the barrier of if you had to do it for like a work thing or something.
Yeah.
Once you both got in it, you'd be like, this is so fun. But it just takes that initial initiative to kind of break through.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Dancing with the Stars though. They were really hard on my boy Steven last night.
Is that Pummel Horse guy?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Steven. Sweet Steven. So that's a little upsetting.
My guy.
I am going to the tour. Oh my God. Yeah. Wait, I've got to get the tickets.
What? you better do it after this episode.
I will. I hope they're not sold out.
Yeah, they're coming to Memphis.
I know.
That's awesome.
No, I'm very excited. So, just a little something about me.
Fun thing about next week, Liz, what are we doing next week?
Don't. We're seeing Sabrina Carpenter.
I'm actually so excited. I'm not as big of a Sabrina Carpenter fan as Liz is. Like, Liz is like 10 out of 10, and I would say I'm like 6.
Yeah.
But I used to be a bigger fan than you.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not a fan, but, like, this album, Short and Sweet for You, is, I think...
It's changed me.
It's changed your brain chemistry, I
No,
believe.
it has. It's truly made my life better.
I'm so excited.
And I'm very excited. Megan surprised me with the tickets because we had discussed going.
We did.
And we were like, this is chaotic. It's expensive. And it's, Megan, you have to find somebody to watch the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it just didn't make sense. And we were like, yeah, it'd be awesome.
But then I found some good tickets.
Yeah.
And I clicked buy. And then, yeah.
No regrets.
Yeah, no regrets. I surprised Liz. I filmed it too, so we'll have to show you.
Yeah, but we will be talking about that next week.
Yes.
We're doing an episode that kind of corresponds.
Yes.
So we'll give a review of the Sabrina show.
The Sabrina show.
Yeah. Can't wait. Well, should we just get into it? Do you have anything else?
No, I feel like I'm done.
Okay. Well, I don't really have an outline or anything for this topic. I think we just kind of want to chat about it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're calling it my fertility journey, my infertility journey, my journey to motherhood, trying to conceive, whatever you want to call it. I've been pretty open about it on Instagram.
Which can I say, the beginning before, really any of this started, you were not going to talk about it. And then you did, a complete 360, which...
Talk about what?
Just, you weren't going to talk about anything.
About even trying.
Yeah. Which I'm really glad that you did, because I feel like the internet has really showed up for you in a supportive way that you really needed. And, you've made, friends that you text all the time. And I think it really was a good idea for you to talk about it.
Yeah. Because, to be quite honest, I didn't know anybody who struggled to get pregnant. I didn't know anybody who had a miscarriage. I didn't know, which also, let's just do a trigger warning at the top of this.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about pregnancy loss. We're going to be talking about miscarriage. Anything related to that, if that's a little sensitive to you, I fully understand. This episode might not be for you. But if you're interested, stay tuned.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I didn't know anybody who had been through anything like I had been through.
Yeah.
Even just trying to get pregnant, we didn't talk about it. You know what I mean?
No, it was such... Well, I do feel like we were in the beginning. All of our, us and our friends were all kind of in the beginning phases of motherhood in general. So I feel like we just didn't really have that many, personal references or, it was, there weren't enough of people to talk to about it with. Does that make sense?
For sure.
But now that we're, deep in it, I feel like all I hear about now all the time, which is, so sad, but you hear about it more and more and more the further you get into it, and you realize just how common it is.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that, I don't know, is it just, your class, quote unquote, of,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's when all your friends get married at the same time and you feel
you're talking about wedding venues, and you're talking about dresses, and you're talking about diamond cuts and whatever. Maybe we just weren't in the class of ovulation strips.
Yeah.
And 8-week ultrasounds.
Indent lines.
And yeah, maybe we just weren't in that quite yet.
Yeah.
But so I went into trying to have a baby pretty naive. I knew.
But that's why. Because nobody
around
and
the
us.
people that had a baby before me, so you, a few other girls here in Memphis, even women in my family, who had a baby, got pregnant quickly, 1 or 2 months.
Nobody in our family
has had a miscarriage, or they have, but it wasn't something that was an open topic to discuss, and it was this very rare one-off whatever. So I went in and I was just like, okay, have sex when you ovulate and you get pregnant.
A plus B
equals C.
Equals baby.
Equals baby.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't. So it took us, I'm just going to go like from the beginning, I guess.
Yeah.
It took us 4 months the first time to get pregnant, and which is so short in the scheme of just now I know, you know, so with what I know now, I am so in deep in like infertility communities and have heard other women's stories and stuff. 4 months is literally no time at all.
Yeah.
At the time it felt like forever, and I was already getting so frustrated at 3 months, you know. I was like, oh, like there's something wrong with me, like this is never gonna happen, you know, whatever. So it took us 4 months, and then I went to my first ultrasound at 6 weeks.
Was it 6 weeks? 4 days?
6 weeks, 5 days, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, looking back now, I would know that this wasn't a good ultrasound, but then I didn't know.
Yeah.
But looking back now, they told me that my baby was measuring almost a full 2 weeks behind, or a week and a half behind. It was a long way behind. And they kept asking me, they're like, are your cycles regular? Are your cycles regular? And I was like, yeah, I know the day I ovulated, because I use this, like, I use the Anito fertility monitor, which is, if you're trying to conceive, that's awesome. It's like the best device in my opinion.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But so I was using that, and so I was like, no, I know the day that I conceived, like, pretty much. Yeah. And they were like, no, you must be off. And I was like, no, I'm not. But it was because the baby had stopped growing. So then I miscarried like a week after that ultrasound.
But so you left that ultrasound. I mean, so did I, because I was naive too, and you were, you know, there was a heartbeat, and we were like, perfect, great, awesome. Like,
well, and also there's like all these statistics, you know, like after you see a heartbeat, it's your likelihood of miscarrying is like 5% or something like that. Yeah. It's really, really low. So I was really optimistic. I had that first miscarriage, and I was like completely blindsided by it.
Everybody was like, again, this was not something that was familiar to us or to you or really to Weston, to Whit. Like, it was so foreign.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know. And also, so I started bleeding on a Friday. And so, of course, it's a Friday. So, like, my nurse's line wasn't, I called at like 5 o'clock on Friday and was like, hey, like, I'm having some bleeding, like, whatever. And they were like, well, you know, we can't really do anything. Call back on Monday and we'll do an ultrasound. And long story short, over the weekend, I was like, no, I know that this is done. And it was just like crazy. So I was technically 9 weeks because I'd been pregnant for 9 weeks. Yeah. But then the baby was only measuring, I think, like 7. Yeah. At the time that I like miscarried. But so then that really began like the real work and the real like learning and discovery, that I was like, okay, well, and that's the other thing, that if you're going through this, your doctors will just say, oh, it's most likely a chromosomal abnormality and this happens, and move on and just try again.
Which honestly though, a lot of the time after one, it very well might be.
Yeah. And I wish that were the case for me, but it wasn't. We waited a cycle in between, and then got pregnant right away, like on the following cycle. And that was a chemical pregnancy, which, if you don't know what that means, that is a loss before 5 weeks. So basically all I had was positive pregnancy tests. Like I didn't
get implants, and then that's it.
Yes. So I did not see like an ultrasound. I did not see anything. And that was, so then after that was when I was like, oh, something is actually wrong, because the odds of having a recurrent loss, 2 miscarriages back to back, is 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah, it's like a little red flag.
That's a red flag. So I guess what I want to talk about is your care and my care, and working with doctors. And if you've gone through loss or honestly unexplained infertility even, if you're like listening and you're going through this, you might have to change your doctor. You might have to fight. Actually, you know what? You are guaranteed that you're going to have to really fight for yourself and advocate for yourself, because it is rare that a doctor will do the extra mile, go the extra mile for you. And especially when it comes to fertility, for whatever reason, I feel like it's just kind of like, try again, without really getting to the root of the issue.
And also, nobody wants to go through the effort of changing a doctor. Like, no. It's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
Insurance and forms and research on the doctors.
Yeah.
And all that.
And what's also really messed up, did you know this? I don't know if you knew this, but what's really messed up is, in order for insurance to cover any sort of testing, you have to have 3 miscarriages.
That's insane. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of procedures that insurance will cover for the male, but will not cover for like female. Like, there's a lot of procedures that insurance is like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think that even a chemical pregnancy isn't considered a pregnancy for a lot too. So both of my OBs that I worked with, they didn't fudge anything. Like, that's not what they did, but they documented it as a miscarriage, when I think a lot of doctors wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So that gave me like the insurance green light to do some additional testing. But isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's like, you can tell it was written by a man, because it's like, people do not understand how hard one miscarriage is on a woman's body and mental health, much less 3.
3 is insane. Yeah. It is insane to me that you have to go through 3 to get any sort of like additional testing covered.
Yeah, no, that's jail time, truly.
So I've ended up paying for a lot of stuff out of pocket, which I made the choice to do that.
And that's also, like, again, goes back to just you're very privileged that you were like able to afford to do that. But like, so many people, they're just being told, try again, like, we'll put you on progesterone, we'll put you on baby aspirin.
A lot of doctors won't even do that.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's just, that's so frustrating as a woman.
Yeah. And fertility, to be clear, I have not gone to a fertility clinic yet. I say yet because it's not out of my realm at this point. But where I am and in my care and in my diagnoses and stuff, I'm not ready to go there yet.
Which I think is, after you telling me everything, I do think that's the correct decision, I think.
But fertility centers are almost always not covered by insurance unless you have really great insurance, or I know certain companies, like I know like Starbucks, I think, covers IVF costs or helps with it. So there's definitely certain loopholes and exceptions to that, but majority of the time, if you're going to a fertility clinic, not even for IVF, like just for additional testing or whatever, that's not covered.
Insurance is like, I'm out.
Yeah, and that's where I've had to draw a line. So going back to like my diagnosis.
So what happened after the chemical pregnancy, your second loss?
I went back to my original OB and I said, hello, I've lost another pregnancy and something is wrong.
Hello.
And I think she's a great doctor, and I think that but I think she's just used to working with healthy pregnancies. So I'm not shading her in any way, but I think she's very much just like, I'm used to people coming in on the assembly line and they're pregnant and they do this and they do that and then they do this and then they deliver it and blah, 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 blah.
I mean, most are.
And so I don't think that she was really well versed in like getting to the root cause of why I was having miscarriages.
Or
so
she just didn't have the time.
Yeah, whatever the reason may be, because our meeting was 5 minutes.
Dare I say, short and sweet.
Oh, it was not.
I'm so sorry.
It was not sweet, but sure. And she literally walked in and was like, "Okay, so what's going on? You've had 2 miscarriages?" And I was like,
"Did you read my file?"
A broken woman at this point, you know, everything was so raw, and I was just so desperate for someone to help me. And she she just said, you've had what? 2 miscarriages? And I was
you're sitting there like,
literally read my file, please. Just
recovering from a gunshot wound,
literally,
basically.
just please read my file, and don't insult me by just breezing in here and just saying, oh, you had what? So that hurt. And at that point, she was like, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll test this, and like, I guess we'll test that, and anything, which honestly, I'm happy she was even willing to test me for some of these things that I was asking for. But for the most part, I just felt that she was not going to get to the root of the issue the way that I wanted to. So I switched to a doctor called a NAPRO doctor, which is, I mean, I'm just going to be open about it. I don't know if you knew this, but a NAPRO doctor doesn't believe in IVF.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I don't believe in IVF.
Yeah.
It just means that this, and not believe in IVF isn't the right.
He doesn't jump right to IVF.
He is a more holistic approach.
Wants to find the root cause as opposed to saying, oh, 3 miscarriages, try IVF, bye.
Yes.
Get out of my office.
It's very much like anti-modern fertility treatments, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's controversial or not. It's not my place to say. I don't know. But so I went to him because I'm not ready to go to IVF.
Yeah.
And I've heard that he was the best in figuring out the root cause. And so we did a whole bunch of blood work. We did a monitored cycle where I took blood work at different points throughout my cycle for a whole month. And everything came back normal. Wow, perfect, love. Except for I did a full thyroid panel, which if you don't know, when you go to the doctor, you only get your TSH drawn, and even your OB will only draw your TSH,
which is so annoying because I'll chime in here as somebody I have hypothyroidism. I've never had a full thyroid panel.
That's insane to me.
Like. Anyway, continue.
That's really crazy to me.
I've never had a full thyroid.
Have you had your antibodies tested?
No.
Girl, maybe you should.
Yeah, maybe I should.
But anyways, and just from what I've learned and what he told me, there's one level in my thyroid panel that was low that apparently is crucial for baby's development early on in the pregnancy.
They suck up a lot of the T3.
They suck up a lot of the
T3.
Free T3. I think it's free T3. Yeah. And mine was really low. So that could have contributed to it. He put me on like a light thyroid medicine, whatever. But I still, in my gut, felt like that wasn't enough.
And this, I have to say, comes back to advocating for yourself, because you asked him to test you for this a couple times, right? And he was so hesitant to test you for what we think is the actual problem.
And again, this is, I don't know if this is like controversial or people are going to think I'm the worst patient in the world. Like every doctor and nurse watching is just going to cringe. But so I had asked for the ureaplasma test, which if you don't know what ureaplasma is, it's kind of like the word on everyone's lips. And it's a bacteria that basically makes your reproductive tract really inflamed, and causes your immune system to overreact to a pregnancy to the point where it will terminate a pregnancy in your body. And it's really, I hate to say that it's hot on social media, but it is. That's how I found out about it. Jesse James Decker's sister made a huge post about it, and like how she was able to get pregnant with her child after getting cleared from it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a really hot topic on social media. And it's a really easy test. It's just a swab test, so no blood work even. It's just really, really easy. And then the solution, if you have it, is just a round of antibiotics. So in my head, I was like, this is a really low lift test to do. Why wouldn't I do it? It's so, if I do have it, it's so easy to treat. And he was just not, he was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't.
It could be
yeah,
that.
He said it could be that, but I don't really think that, like, that's something I want to prioritize. Like, I want to do this other blood work first, whatever. And So he turned me down for it twice, and I still felt in my gut that it wasn't just the thyroid. Like, I felt in my gut that it was something else.
Yeah.
And so I called the office. And myself. I just called the front desk and I said, "Hi, I'd like to schedule a urea plasma test, please." That's it. Yep. It wasn't like he referred it or anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure then the front desk was like, "Hi, like this patient like wants this test done. Can you order it?" And he was probably just like, "Sure."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't on his.
He was just doing what his patient asked.
Yeah, which I am grateful for, and a lot of doctors won't do.
Yeah.
But I was the one who had to really push for it. Mm-hmm. And urea plasma is such an unfamiliar diagnosis, an unfamiliar thing.
And not really, it's common. I feel like everybody's talking about it right now, but based on how everybody has reacted to it, like even your first OB was like, "Yeah, I'll test you for it." It was very like, "I'll test you for it, but you probably don't have it."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So they literally like didn't even know how to do the test. Like they had it was him and the nurse, they were looking at it. And this isn't a doctor's incompetence. It's just it's such a rare test, mm-hmm. and it's such a new thing that they were looking at like the tube and being like, "Oh, well, I gotta ask the lab to make sure I'm doing it right and whatever." And so imagine my surprise yet again when I get the result back and it says positive. I was like, "Oh."
And that is on trusting your gut, baby.
Yeah, and pushing for myself. Yeah. I really had to push for it. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to, we actually do have a sponsor today.
Yes.
And it is a sponsor that I'm so passionate about because you can get a urea plasma test at home.
In the comfort of your own home.
Yes.
Okay, if you're watching this on video right now, Dolly is in my lap. Yeah.
We have an addition.
We had a pause and Dolly is now in my lap. Yeah. So
but anyways, I'm happy to work with this company because I wish I would have known that I could test for urea plasma at home. Mm-hmm. I've talked about it on my Instagram. It's called Evvy, EVVY. And I've tested with them again to like retest. So not only are they like great because it tells you what if you have urea plasma and then you can like go to your doctor and whatever, but it also just helps you keep urea plasma away. So they were able to prescribe me like probiotics, vaginal probiotics, stuff like that, which is like really important. And I felt more cared for with the urea plasma diagnosis with this company than I did with my doctor, if I'm just being honest.
And that's saying a lot.
I know. So this is our first sponsor because they gave us a code. So we're going to go to a quick actual little commercial break.
Commercial break.
Yeah. And we'll be back right after this message. And in this message, you'll have the code and everything, a little bit more details about the brand. So yeah, we'll be back soon. So welcome to our first official ad break, everyone. I'm nervous and I'm excited, but I'm passionate about this product, about this company. So I'm going to start off with my code. It is Stella218, and it gets you $10 off of your test. Here I am talking about my vaginal microbiome on the internet. I've done it before and I will do it again, but I think it's really important. Vaginal discomfort is a leading reason why women seek healthcare advice for conditions like bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, recurrent UTIs, and for me, urea plasma. That is pretty much what caused my miscarriages. So Evvy is a company that tests for those things, and over 90% of these cases can be attributed to imbalances in the vaginal microbiome. So that's what Evvy tests for. It tests your vaginal microbiome. It tells you exactly what is going on that is causing the bacterial vaginosis, what's causing the recurrent yeast infections, what's causing those UTIs. So in July 2021, Evie launched the first ever at-home vaginal microbiome test. And it's a simple swab test that empowers you to get a comprehensive picture of your microbiome, along with clear next steps and a free one-on-one coaching call. This coaching call for me was huge. Like I said, I have never felt more supported in my diagnosis of the ureaplasma than I did talking to this coach. She just explained what the main players were in my vaginal microbiome and why she could see that the ureaplasma would have been there. And luckily, by the time I had tested, my ureaplasma was gone. So my coaching session was mostly on how to keep my biome clear, because ureaplasma is something that can come back. So it was really just a conversation about what's next. And for me, it was probiotics, vaginal probiotics. So basically, it was just encouraging good bacteria in my vaginal microbiome so that the bad bacteria, ureaplasma, cannot overtake everything. And in 2023, they launched their clinical care, making Evie the first and only vaginal healthcare platform to offer state-of-the-art at-home testing and treatments. So this is a science-backed education and support, and you can do it all from home, which I've talked about my struggles with my OBs and kind of getting the care that I needed, especially for my particular diagnosis. And if you're struggling with something like recurrent UTIs or recurrent yeast infections, you can get really great care through Evie now. The Evie team includes the world's leading OBGYNs and experts in the vaginal microbiome with decades of experience at organizations like UCSF, Stanford, Harvard, Cleveland Clinic, and so much more. There's different levels of testing you can get, but I got the expanded PCR panel because that's what tests for ureaplasma. But it also tests for 4 STIs, 10 antibiotic resistances, and 11 common microbes. And then the test actually comes with the free one-on-one consultation with the health coach. And it also comes with a plan for next steps depending on your unique biome. So everybody's biome is different, and you're going to have different supplements, different behaviors, different things that are going to help you in your vaginal health. And like I said, I am so passionate about this company. I have genuinely paid my own money to take this test and to give me insight on my vaginal microbiome. And it is truly one of the best things that I have done in my trying to conceive journey. Stella218 at evie.com is where you can get your test. And I wish you luck. And thank you, Evie, so much for wanting to work with me and spreading the word about your vaginal microbiome, baby. And we're back.
We're back, baby.
Yes. I'm trying to think of like what's next. I guess I could go into Dolly is too much. She's so sweet. I'm going to go into some questions I asked on Instagram, if anybody had any questions or anything about my journey. And so I'm going to answer them.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
She used up my entire printer cartridge.
Yeah, well, we use our phones to record videos. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I've got to print them off.
Yeah.
Can you speak on how others can best support someone going through infertility?
I can.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
I feel like across the board, my general advice to anybody that asks me if they, if they're like, hey, my sister, my friend, whatever's going through something similar, how did you deal with that? My general answer is I let Liz lead the way, because if she wanted to talk about it, I would talk about it all day, every day if she wanted to, but I didn't want to bring it up in case she was having a good hour where she hadn't thought about it. So my advice was just to let them take the lead.
Yeah, and I think that that's accurate. I think that there are different people handle infertility differently. I would say the thing that you shouldn't do is offer advice unless they're asking for it. I think that sometimes you think that you're doing good and it's not doing good, by saying, oh, well, you should just go on vacation or just relax or whatever.
Or, oh, my friend had a similar situation and like it ended up being XYZ.
Yeah. That, unless you're asking for it, can be overwhelming and it can be sad. So don't offer help unless they're asking for it. Yeah. That's a really big one. And I think just letting the person lead. If they want to talk about it, they will. If they don't, they won't. Yeah. And for me personally, I don't get weird around babies. I don't get weird around people who are pregnant. That doesn't bother me. I know it might bother some women, but it doesn't bother me, you know, because I know that that's not my baby. It's not my journey. And that's something that I really hold on to.
And you also, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably look at social media announcements, which I'm not saying they're not hard, but it's social media, so it's hard to know their journey. You know, it's hard to, like, and some people don't talk about their journey. So
you don't know what's going on. And the social media announcements are hard. They are. Yeah. Just because it just said you may be not thinking about it for a while, or you may be like whatever, and then it's just like, oh, another reminder. And an analogy that I really like is that you're in the waiting room of motherhood, and sometimes when you see Instagram announcements, it feels like you're just the last person in the waiting room. Yeah. And that never feels good. No. It just never feels good to have everybody else's name called but yours. Yeah. And that's what the social media posts remind me of. But anyways, if you feel comfortable knowing you're ready to get pregnant again after a loss, girl, I'm still not there. Like I mean, we're quote unquote trying, I guess, you know, like we're not putting a hard stop on not trying, but I don't know that I will ever feel ready again, and I don't know what a pregnancy after a loss would look like. That's just a whole other hurdle that I will face it when I, God willing, come to it.
If it makes you feel better, I feel like on social media I see a lot of people that after they've had a loss, it's just never the same. Like they go into every ultrasound nervous. Like I think that's just something that comes with going through a loss, which is really hard. But I don't think you're alone on that, for sure.
Yeah. How has Weston been doing through this? So Weston is my husband, if you don't know. A lot of people do forget that just because it's the woman going through the treatments or having the miscarriages or whatever, it's still a marriage and it's still a family or still a couple that is going.
It's his baby too.
Yeah, it's his baby too. And it's his family as well. And so it's been sad. You know, we've both had our moments of really deep sadness. We've had our moments of hope. We've had our moments of letdown. We really experience a lot together, but honestly, our relationship has really been tested in a way that's good. I feel like it's brought us together a lot, and just really proved, you know, in sickness and in health and all of those, like our vows, you know, it really, really has proved that something like infertility or pregnancy loss will test the bounds of that, and I'm happy to say that it's made me love him even more. So when to start worrying about infertility? I mean, that's kind of a scale that's different for everybody. I think that if you have obviously other health issues going into trying to get pregnant, I think that's something you immediately need to like really make sure is all locked in, whether you have a thyroid condition or...
Especially if you know that you have diagnosed PCOS or diagnosed endometriosis, because obviously, or just like irregular cycles.
Yeah, you're starting out the gate a little bit behind. Yeah. So I would start getting testing early. Because just you don't want to waste your time. You know?
It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time. Yeah, like we're going on a year and some change of like since we first started trying, and I wish I would have figured out the ureaplasma, but I mean I couldn't have discovered that unless I got more deep into it. And the thyroid, I wish I would have known, but you can't do that. And then also like with the testing, there's like levels of testing that I haven't done yet because I frankly don't want to. And I feel like at this point with my diagnoses, I don't need to, but that's like the HSG, which is they do a dye on your uterus and an MRI on your uterus and, take a sample, a biopsy and all that. I haven't done all that.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak on like that side of the testing, but I think simple blood work is effective and I think it's easy. And usually that's actually kind of covered by insurance, I think. Just like a routine like hormone level check.
Like initial kind of putting a feeler out.
Yeah. Did you tell people around you, your friends and family, that you were pregnant? Or did you wait the 3 months in case something happened? And do you regret it? So the first pregnancy, I told kind of a lot of people. I did. I told a lot of people. And I felt weird about it. And I don't know if that was intuition or what. That's the other thing that we look back on and stuff. Like you were always like, oh, you should film mom's reaction or you should film so-and-so's reaction. And I don't know if it was intuition or just a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I was like, no, I'm so uncomfortable. And my whole life is filmed. You know what I mean? And your videos were so cute of telling people. And like, I love watching those videos. And like, but for me, every time that you were like, you should film it, I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that.
But you did.
I did. I haven't watched those videos.
And why would you?
I don't want to watch those videos. But anyways, so do I regret telling people? Yeah.
See, I don't think you do. Because you like to talk about your journey right now. And I think that if these people didn't know, then you wouldn't be able, like, it was like kind of liberating for you almost. Like because these people already knew.
Yeah.
Like all the people that you told, you still continue to talk about what's going on right now.
Well, it's funny because if I were to get pregnant again, I would be texting everybody the second I got a positive test because it's different now.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? I feel embarrassment. That's what I feel, which I know I shouldn't feel. But I felt a deep embarrassment that I had to go back and tell everybody,
just kidding.
Actually, I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
And like, actually, I miscarried. So yeah. So I do regret it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I wouldn't wait 3 months next time. I would tell everybody the second it happened because the support I in turn ended up getting was so great.
And just like, I feel like the stories that people choose not to share until something like this.
That's so true.
Emerges.
When I posted it on Instagram, I got so many messages from girls that I knew well, who were like, oh, I miscarried 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I had no idea.
And it makes you feel, I'm sure, less alone.
It made me feel less alone. It made me feel more educated and it gave me more resources and things like that. So I don't know. I think just the shock and the embarrassment was hard for me to handle. And that's why I regret it the first time because I just felt embarrassed that like I had filmed these reactions and it just felt stupid. Which I know isn't, but it just felt like I was like...
Hey, your feelings are your feelings.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I didn't really answer that question, I guess, but...
The answer is you don't know.
Yeah, the answer is
yes
I don't
and no.
know. I would love to hear your opinion on this.
Oh, okay.
Thoughts on gender disappointment. Seems like to be a hot topic on TikTok right now.
Whew. Yeah, I totally understand gender disappointment because from my perspective, it has absolutely nothing to do with the baby. Okay. And also going into having the first baby, it's so foreign and you have absolutely no idea how you're going to feel about this baby. But now going into when we decide to have a second one, yes, I already got a girl, which I think every girl wants a girl and every boy wants a boy. I think that's just kind of
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of moms who are like, I want a boy. And
Yeah, well, but I'm saying like for their first one. Like, I don't know. Maybe that was just me, but I just, for comfort level wise, really wanted a girl because I grew up with a sister and a mom. And it was like, that was my comfort zone. So gender disappointment going into the second round, I think will not be a thing for me because either way, it would be Margot gets a sister or my husband gets a son. And also, you learn how you feel about your own child and you realize that like gender is truly just a gender, and whoever's meant to join your family, it all makes sense once they're here. So I do understand how you could be disappointed, especially because it kind of feels like your dreams are kind of fading a little bit, especially because like if you
only your expectations.
Yes. Yeah. It's like if you only wanted 3 kids and all 3 of them were boys, like there goes your dream of ever picking out a wedding dress with your daughter. So like I do understand that. I do. So I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on it. I don't think I personally will go through it, but again, I got the girl that I really, really wanted already. Yeah. So I don't know.
I feel like I went through a transition with it for sure. When I first started trying to get pregnant, I was like so naive I was like, oh, well, the Chinese calendar says if I conceive in this month, I'll have a girl in this month or whatever. And
which the Chinese calendar, for anybody listening, is just not.
It's not accurate?
No, it's 50-50.
Oh,
like,
really? I thought it was accurate.
No.
Oh.
No.
Well.
No. Anyway.
So, yeah, I had some expectations of like, oh, they're going to have this birthday, blah, blah. And that has really changed me, like the gender thing.
And probably like horoscope.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Month of birth. You're like, I don't care.
Like, it's just such like what you were saying, like, it's just such a blessing and like a luxury to even have a healthy child.
Yeah.
And like, that soul, that person was meant to be in your family all along.
Yeah.
And
doesn't matter what gender, what time of year they're born, what horoscope they are.
So, and it took me having these losses and like these struggles to get to that point.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, like it took me realizing that a baby is not, like, I never really thought of it as like an accessory, but like that was something that I was like looking forward to, was like, oh, well, I get to dress it this way and dress it that way. And like, yes, that's all fun and you can enjoy that, but
society and social media loves to make that a thing.
It is, and it is so unimportant in the grand scheme of things. And I will admit that it took me having those losses to really learn that lesson with gender disappointment. So when I see it, I'm like, oh, you guys just haven't really been through, like, you're lucky enough to really not have been through some really tough stuff with a baby or trying to have a baby to be that disappointed. You see some of these videos where people are like so disappointed at the gender, and I'm just like,
God, especially like, no offense, but when it's the men, I'm literally like, sit down.
Oh, when they like walk out of the frame.
Yeah, because it's a girl.
No,
that's giving toxic masculinity.
Yeah, no, that's that is tough. Closing it out, I'm actually surprised I haven't like cried this video. I'm proud of myself for not crying. I tried to keep it really like factual and encouraging and kind of the lessons that I've learned.
I see the tears welling up.
No. But I have done my fair share of crying about this phase in my life, about like the losses. It has been like the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. I'm not kidding. Like, this year has really taught me some major, major things about myself, about what I want, about life, about gratitude. It's been absolutely insane. And I guess my end note to anybody listening who is going through infertility or losses is advocate for yourself because you have to.
And do your own research.
Unfortunately, most of the time, your doctor is not going to do it for you. In just my experience. Listen, I don't know if it's that way for other people in other places, but for me, I've had to really, really educate myself and push for it. Read the book Spirit Babies. I've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, something that really sticks with me is from the Spirit Babies book is there's a spirit, a soul that is mine, that is meant for me, has always been meant for me. And I don't like to think of the two losses as two separate babies. I know that might not be how everybody thinks, but I don't like to think of it like that. I like to think of it as it is one soul who is meant to be mine, who just has had a hard time coming into the physical world. And so that's what I like to think about it. But it's really helped me with my perspective on the soul that's meant for you, whether you have had losses or are going through infertility. So spirit or trying to conceive. Spirit Babies, I highly, highly recommend.
I think about it a lot.
It really just makes so much sense. And like how your baby knows when to come, it knows who to be, it knows it wants you. And that is all really reassuring for me. You know, whether that, and some people have like your faith or whatever, but for me, it's the Spirit Babies that really get me. And yeah, I think that it's not an easy road. And I hope that if you're listening and you're going through it, that you're taking care of yourself and your mental health. I think that's really important. And if you're listening just because you're curious and it's fun to listen to hear what's going on in other people's lives, like that's fine too, because I did that before I even started trying. I just was like, what could happen? What are the possibilities? And just know that you will get to the other side eventually. Listen, our life is going to look, my husband and I's life is going to look beautiful and amazing and fulfilling and filled with love and joy and happy and sad and hard and whatever, all of those things, whether we have a child or not. And I get to enjoy my beautiful niece.
Don't we all?
In the meantime, you know, like every time I'm like, oh, like I don't have a baby. Well, guess what? That's more of my undivided attention for my niece. So yeah. I hope this was educational. I hope that I answered your question. Any closing thoughts?
No, I do want to say that I'm really proud of you for how you've handled all of this, because I mean, this year,
why are you crying?
Just like this year has been really hard, and you've still like shown up for me. And like, you know, other people in our lives, and I'm really, really proud of you, and you're a really strong person. So
I don't feel like that. I really don't feel like that. So thanks for saying that.
But
I appreciate it.
And your baby will be so loved whenever it decides to join our family.
Yeah.
Why do we cry all the time?
Yeah, we just like cry now on this podcast. Wow.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll be back next week with a Sabrina Carpenter update, a review, if you will, and another more industry episode. So we'll see you next week, and we'll wipe our tears.
Yes.
And
thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.